active manhunt is going on for 2 inmates that DOC officers say escaped sometime overnight. Here's what we know. The 2 inmates were unaccounted for during the 5:30 a.m. bed check. They are convicted murderers. All day, DOC and state police have been conducting road checks, checking in vehicles, looking for these 2 men. And then just moments ago, dozens of DOC and state police troopers went into the woods off of Smith Street behind me, just feet away from the correctional facility. Now again, this is a neighborhood. People are walking on the streets, watching this all. There are DOC officers on almost every intersection with rifles securing the area. And we know that Governor Andrew Cuomo is set to get here sometime this afternoon, probably around 1 o'clock for a briefing.
WPTZ's George Mallet here. We're cutting into regular programming because of last night's prison break in Dannemora. Governor Andrew Cuomo has arrived in the North Country and is at the prison right now. These 2 inmates have been identified as 48-year-old Richard Matt, 34-year-old David Sweat.
These are 2 dangerous individuals. First order of business is to find the 2 individuals and return them to prison. This is the first escape from the maximum security portion of the institution ever since 1865. So by definition, it was an extraordinary act. The Commissioner of Corrections is going to undertake a full investigation. We want to find out exactly how it happened.
I'm Jared Hill in Dannemora, standing in front of the Clinton Correctional Facility. More than 200 police officers are combing New York after officials say 2 dangerous inmates, David Sweat and Richard Matt, escaped from Clinton Correctional Facility in what's being called an extremely elaborate scheme.
It encompassed drilling through steel walls and steel pipes, so this was not easily accomplished.
So we don't yet know how they acquired the tools. We've done our internal inventory and we've accounted for all of our tools.
Both Sweat and Matt are convicted murderers, serving 25 years to life and life sentences. Police say the 2 men were first noticed missing during overnight bed checks. That's when corrections officers reportedly discovered holes in the back of the men's cells. That led to their very detailed escape route.
The point of exit was the manhole cover down the block. There were a series of tunnels that connected to that manhole cover. They gained access from the back of their cell, which is a steel wall. They went through the steel wall into a catwalk, down an elaborate maze of pipes into tunnels, and exited a series of tunnels at the manhole cover.
Rachel, there are a lot of people that live just yards away from this maximum security prison. How are they feeling tonight?
Sure, there's a lot of mixed reactions tonight. Some neighbors have told me that they were terrified, while others were out riding their bikes and walking their dogs. One thing's for sure, this was no normal Saturday.
Well, just woke up this morning and basically heard cop cars going up and down the road, tried to figure out what was going on.
Residents in the neighborhood surrounding the Clinton Correctional Facility were frightened to hear the news of 2 escaped prisoners.
There's really never been anything really like this before.
A lot of traffic. They're stopping every car going up or down 374. The intersections, I'm understanding each one of them is being patrolled.
For a second day in a row, the black boots of corrections officers marched through the streets, sidewalks, and yards of Dannemora, combing for any evidence that may lead them to the convicted murderers who sawed their way out of Clinton Correctional Facility. As law enforcement hit the ground, neighbors cautiously carried on with Sunday errands.
I went out to get what we needed for necessities, and I'm going to be home for the rest of the day.
Mother and Dannemora resident Melinda Clark lives in the prison's shadow, a neighborhood she temporarily shares with law enforcement.
It's a constant reminder when you're coming back home and you're going through 3 roadblocks just to get home that, wow, and these guys are dangerous.
But the strong presence of troopers and COs, many of whom live in the community, has the mom breathing a sigh of relief.
Just their presence here has meant a lot to me personally and to my family. It gave us a sense of security.
A few blocks away, workers at the nearby Dunkin' Donuts say the boost in police means a boost in business.
Our coffee and donuts are keeping them going, and sandwiches.
But even more than the extra dollars, employees who work steps away from the prison say they are even more thankful for their service.
They keep an eye on us, and we're so happy for it. We're so grateful to them.
In my opinion, they had to have help.
As protected as the town may feel, there is still disbelief that 2 convicted murderers slipped through the cracks.
But the biggest thing is It looked like they cut into a steam line, and they knew exactly when the low-pressure steam was going to be shut off. So they had to have somebody had to have some input.
Both neighbors and officers trying to piece together how it all happened.
Here's what we know right now. Governor Cuomo announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of escaped murderers Richard Matt and David Sweat.
Police believe the two men had been plotting their escape for weeks. As the manhunt for two escaped prisoners stretches on, more than 250 law enforcement and correction officers are still on the streets surrounding Dannemora.
All available assets and necessary assets are being brought to bear. The state police ask that the public take no chances, make no efforts to apprehend them, and report any suspicious activity. If you see something, say something.
State police will be at every school within the school district tomorrow. Now, school bus drivers have also been instructed to wait for students if they wish to wait inside their homes instead of outside on the streets while they wait for the bus. Now, they're also going to be keeping kids inside the school throughout the day, and there won't be any outside recess tomorrow.
Right now, police are following up on 300 leads to try and locate the convicted killers. Today, authorities released new pictures of the tattoos each inmate has to help identify them.
Now, checkpoints were dotted along Route 374 and the surrounding roads in and out of the Plattsburgh region. Members of the Department of Corrections, state police thoroughly checking out every car that stops. My thought was they had to be long gone, but clearly law enforcement has some information that we don't have.
A lot of rumor, a lot of speculation, but not a ton of new information.
And we want to stress the numbers you should use to alert authorities if you have any relevant information. Call 1-800-GIVE-TIP, and you can also send an email to crimetip@troopers.ny.gov.
You've heard me talking for the last hour about the fact that I am more than a little surprised at the law enforcement presence here because as we all stand out here openly speculating, we're of the belief that don't these guys have to be long gone? They didn't pop out of that manhole with no plan. Well, just within the last half hour, we have a source with some contacts inside the prison who says that here's the thing. That ride that the men apparently were supposed to have waiting for them never arrived. Law enforcement here, according to this source, of the belief that these guys are likely still on foot and still in the area.
It's really scary.
Tiffany Livermore is keeping her kids and niece extra close these days. They live near the prison in Dannemora, New York.
We don't want to see anything bad happen.
The school district here says law enforcement swept all the educational buildings and buses to make sure the escapees weren't hiding.
We had to go through a road stop and get checked by the prison guard.
She and nearly 1,500 other kids were kept inside school all day.
Safety of our students and our staff is certainly our first priority.
New information tonight on the search for the escaped prisoners in Dannemora. About an hour from the Clinton Correctional Facility, there has been a dramatic law enforcement presence on one road in a small town.
Residents say police seem to be narrowing in on one house in particular. They say the woman who lives there works at the Clinton Correctional Facility.
Stephen George tonight with authorities still searching. Rumors are starting to fly throughout the North Country. What we do know tonight is that there's a female employee being questioned for whatever part she played in this elaborate escape plot.
Joyce Mitchell is a teacher at the Dannemora prison. She teaches inmates in the tailor shop. Earlier, we also learned that she checked herself into a local hospital the day the inmates escaped. Take a look at the Alice Hyde Medical Center. That's where Mitchell is said to have spent some part of the weekend. She's been treated and released, but we were able to confirm that she did check herself in either Friday night or Saturday morning. Again, that's when the inmates are said to have climbed out of a manhole in the area of Dannemora.
There's been a flurry of activity across the region.
Ground Zero clearly has moved from Dannemora to Willsboro.
We've been hearing that someone in the neighborhood saw two suspects in this area, and that's what alerted the police and a number of different agencies to come out here.
But a source in the Forest Service tonight telling WPTZ that search was prompted by a false alarm.
Well, George, from the start, a lot of speculation about the direction these two fugitives might head. If it was to the north, U.S. Customs and their Canadian counterparts were armed and ready. Inside the communications center of the U.S. Border Patrol in Swanton, agents can track activity all along the Canadian border.
Alert 3.
Usually, they're trying to stop people coming into the U.S., but this week they're just as focused on who might be trying to leave.
Alert 3.
The Border Patrol has been actively involved in the hunt for the Dannemora fugitives. When we paid a visit, the images of both men, David Sweat and Richard Matt, flashed on their video screens.
They're very aware of what these individuals would be capable of because, as you know, they're both life sentences without parole, so they have absolutely nothing to lose.
Now, U.S. Customs Air and Marine Division is adding a Black Hawk helicopter to help in the manhunt.
Whatever it takes to take these people back into custody, we are here to support the New York State Police.
And welcome back to this WPTZ special report. Richard Matt has, according to one retired law enforcement officer, been called the most vicious, evil person he's ever come across in 38 years as a police officer. He is serving a sentence of 25 years to life following a conviction in Niagara County. In 1997, Matt kidnapped, killed, and dismembered his former boss. He was transferred to Clinton Correctional Facility in 2008. And Matt already has one prison break under his belt. In 1986, he escaped from the Erie County Correctional Facility while serving a 1-year sentence for assault. Sweat pleaded guilty to first-degree murder after shooting and killing Deputy Sheriff Kevin Tarzia in Kirkwood on the 4th of July 13 years ago. That's near Binghamton. Sweat pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty.
It's been a long 4 days for locals here as well, many with relatives who work at the prison. For these folks, this cannot end soon enough.
We're tired. Thankful for everything that they're doing. Great security setup, but it's very tiring. It's nerve-wracking, especially with all the rumors. You know, if it's on Facebook, it's official, right? You know, we just wish that we could get some lead, some answer, something somehow.
This has been a daunting search for all law enforcement agents involved. I was speaking with a state trooper yesterday. He said they're working upwards of 16-hour shifts every day on this case. So as it is day 5, you can only imagine the toll this has taken on really everyone involved.
At this hour, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin about to hold a news conference.
There's some indication that one of their destinations, the destination they might have indicated, was the state of Vermont.
The only way to pursue this type of investigation is to follow every lead that you have and follow every lead as if this is the one that's going to break the case.
Obviously, there are only a handful of ways you can cross into Vermont from Clinton County, from the Dannemora area. There are 2 bridges, there are 3 ferries, or you might try to steal a boat. Well, up in the Lake Champlain Islands, there are a ton of seasonal camps which could make for pretty easy hiding, and everyone knows it. Here were some of the reactions we heard this afternoon.
Well, it's not good. Puts more lives in danger. I mean, they both are murderers, so you don't know what they're going to do.
It's insane, crazy.
Scary?
Worrisome, yes.
It's very easy just to say, keep your eyes open and look for these 2 people that we see on TV and on the media and say, well, these are the guys that we're looking for. They could change their appearance. The community needs to be aware of that as well.
While Favreau admits jailbreaks do happen,
believe it or not, it happens more frequently than what people realize.
He says the escape from Clinton Correctional Facility is far beyond anything he's seen.
I think these 2 individuals are a little bit more dangerous because they're more methodical. Everybody has asked me, well, how come they haven't stolen a vehicle? How come they haven't hurt somebody or taken someone hostage? You know, when those things occur, you leave evidence, you leave trace. When it doesn't occur, you're constantly at ground 1 and looking.
We've been with you all night.
Lots of developments overnight, still developing at this hour.
We're still on 374, just outside of the section of road that's been the subject of heavy police activity overnight.
Taking a little drive on Ryan Road, it's still lined with DOC officers every few yards or so.
There has been an extreme amount of DOC agents and K9 units, men walking around with guns, large weapons.
We were the last crew still standing there when the officer told us that it is just not safe to be there anymore.
He had his pistol drawn, and he told me to go back into the home because they were doing some sort of a push through the woods.
Heard from the state police was that they picked up a fresh scent, potentially of these 2 escapees, a quarter of a mile south of Trudeau Road.
The search force is now about 800 people strong. They've been staging near the prison in Dannemora and deploying by the truckload.
This is a quiet rural community, much like quiet rural communities all over our tri-state region that now is the scene of an intense manhunt with heavily armed guys, ATVs buzzing, helicopters overhead at all hours of the day and night. It's unnerving. There's a lot of anxiety and tension that we've heard from residents here if they are still here at all.
We continue to follow many developments that are coming in this evening in the investigation.
Joyce Mitchell, we have been told by Sheriff Favreau that she is expected to be arrested and arraigned within the next couple of hours.
Today we've arrested 51-year-old Joyce Mitchell of Dickinson Center, New York, for her role in providing material support to David Sweat and Richard Matt.
Right now, you're looking at video from minutes ago as the woman who authorities say helped them pull it off appears in Plattsburgh City Court.
The defendant is charged here with 2 offenses, including misdemeanor criminal facilitation in the 4th degree and felony promoting prison contraband.
Authorities accuse prison worker Joyce Mitchell of giving the escape killers the tools they needed to complete their elaborate escape.
The 51-year-old from Dickinson Center is accused of bringing hacksaw blades, chisels, a punch, and screwdriver bit into the prison.
It's day 8.
Increasingly, as you talk to people here in Dannemora, they are concerned that perhaps these guys are no longer within the perimeter that was established. It seems, from a layman's point of view, increasingly unlikely that they're still here. Am I coming out of left field with that?
Well, I don't think you're coming out of left field because, in one sense, you know, they may not have been there over the last 3 days. The dogs are on a good scent, and so if they're on a good scent, you know, they in all likelihood should be in the vicinity.
The search continued today in the same general area. Sunday afternoon, State Police spokesman Jack Keller said there have been no confirmed sightings yet of either convict. He also said he was not authorized to speak on camera. The man in charge of the operation, State Police Major Charles Guess, last appeared at a news conference Friday night and said much the same thing. He took a few questions and was quickly whisked away. Some local residents are expressing frustration over the absence of much news days after the escape.
Oh, yeah.
Grilling burgers Sunday, a stone's throw from the prison wall, Kyle Kriplin says he doesn't understand why they remain mum.
It's outrageous. It's outrageous. For not having any results at all or any solid information, I think it's crazy.
We have asked for a routine on-camera interview with a spokesman for the state police. We still hope for one to ask some of the questions that you would like answered. We'll hope it comes through.
It is crazy to have those guys in this area for a week. So it's really unsettling.
Cuomo today announcing that the Inspector General, Catherine Leahy Scott, will do a full investigation on exactly how these 2 men might have gotten out of this maximum security prison.
A lot of activity on Bucks Corners Road. It's definitely been a long, wet day for the officers, and still at this point, no confirmed sightings.
Only 2 police briefings over 11 days, and the state police declined to be available to us again today. But 2 highly placed sources confirm the strategy to hunt them down is about to change. As police wrap up a ground search in a 5-square-mile area of Katyville, we're told unless they find evidence like clothing proving either man was ever there, the mission will pivot to what our sources call an intelligence-based search. A full-time, though much smaller, unit of officers responding to specific reports and locations rather than the current wide-ranging dragnet. We've looked everywhere they could reasonably be, said one official in Albany, added a federal source familiar with the operation. At some point you have to ask whether it's a wise investment to keep doing the same thing, involving hundreds and hundreds of officers when you don't have much to show for it, because you're going to need those resources going forward. Just in the last hour, the state police issuing a statement saying they're going to redeploy some of their folks. The roadblocks that have been set up now for almost a week on Route 374 are expected to come down tonight. The statement confirmed that dogs did pick up the scent of both inmates in the Katyville area 6 days ago. So where could they be?
Since we've closed the perimeter box after thoroughly sweeping that area, our intention is to look at the viable high-speed avenues of egress from Dannemora prison facility into points on all cardinal directions. We're not ruling anything out.
Investigators now studying surveillance cameras along interstate highways, including gas stations and rest stops, railroad lines and utility rights-of-way heading out of Clinton County. About the theory the inmates might want to cross into Vermont, still a possibility, police say. as is crossing into Canada. Still, they say it's too soon for local residents to assume the escapees are gone.
Even though the road blocks and perimeter no longer exist, we have quadrupled the number of roving patrols. There is still a very strong presence in this region.
Tonight, it's now clear the two wily fugitives could be anywhere, and they need millions of eyes out looking for them.
16 days after the escape from Dannemora, the search for the escaped inmates has moved more than 350 miles away from Clinton Correctional Facility to Friendship, New York.
The state police received a call from a witness who spotted two men on a railroad line that runs along County Route 20 in the town of Friendship.
It's kind of scary.
Lifelong resident Robert Foster says he couldn't help but sit out on his stoop and watch as agents stormed through his neighborhood.
I keep hearing the vehicles go by and going up the other road. And
out there with him, his wife and young son. We asked Robert if he was armed.
I am right now.
Foster says he hopes he never has to use the guns to defend his family.
The Katyville home of Gene Palmer, the corrections officer recently put on paid administrative leave, was quiet Sunday morning. His lawyer, however, was not.
I can 100% confirm that he did not know that they were planning to break out of the prison.
Attorney Andrew Brockway spoke on his 57-year-old client's behalf, saying that the Clinton CO of over 28 years was cooperative during his 14-hour interrogation the day before.
He has a lot of knowledge that they want from him.
Palmer is a prison guard in the honor block, the cell block reserved for well-behaving prisoners that house escapees Richard Matt and David Sweat side by side. Brockway said that he had extensive daily contact with both Matt and Sweat, and that at one point, Matt, who painted as a hobby while in prison, gave Palmer one of his paintings. Friday night, state police executed a search warrant at Palmer's house. Brockway did not confirm whether or not troopers were searching for that painting.
And at this hour, we do have breaking news from Owl's Head, New York. That is where a surge in police activity is underway tonight.
Route 26 was very heavily populated with law enforcement.
Somebody was there. He's not saying it was one of these two fugitives.
Uh-huh.
All he saw was somebody running from the camp. He went into camp. He saw things that were out of place. So he said definitely somebody had broke into that camp.
We've learned overnight from a business owner in Owl's Head that the increased police presence was spurred by a break-in at a camp in Mountain View. That information has been confirmed by two sources close to this investigation.
We have developed evidence that the suspects may have spent time in a cabin in this area.
This is the pretty much exact same scene we've been seeing in Katyville. Dannemora just shifted about 20 miles west in a much more rural area.
Now, there are a number of cabins in this area, some used for hunting, some just seasonal cabins. According to the sheriff, he says this is the best lead police have had since the search began.
And tonight, WPTZ has confirmed that Matt and Sweat got some of the weapons they used in the escape in frozen hamburger meat. This is new information confirmed by District Attorney Andrew Wiley. He says prison seamstress Joyce Mitchell, who's facing charges, would put hacksaw blades and other tools inside hamburger meat. Then she'd put that meat in the fridge in the tailor shop. Corrections officer Gene Palmer would give that meat to Matt and Sweat in their cells.
Day 19 in the hunt for the escaped murderers.
Police have strong reason to believe that Richard Matt and David Sweat are both armed.
Time is always a concern.
Now, days after investigators discovered DNA that placed one or both of the escaped inmates in the Owl's Head area.
We have virtually 100% assurance that they were in that area.
Officers say they don't know what the fugitives are traveling with or what they might have picked up along the way.
Breaking news tonight. Corrections officer Gene Palmer is in court at this hour in Plattsburgh town, facing criminal charges in the escape of the two killers from the prison in Dannemora.
That just happened a few minutes ago, Steph. Palmer was arrested tonight, charged with 2 felony counts of tampering with evidence, 1 felony count of promoting prison contraband.
In a sworn statement that Gene Palmer gave police over the weekend, he talked a little bit more about that now infamous hamburger meat. He admitted to passing that slab of meat to the prisoners, a favor of Joyce Mitchell's. He said that that was about on May 30th.
We have major breaking news to tell you about the search for the escape killers from Dannemora. As we understand from a source that is very close to this investigation, Richard Matt has either been captured or shot.
I talked to a couple there who had been ushered off of Route 30. They said that they heard gunshots.
A New York State press release has just been issued at 3:45. A law enforcement officer saw someone in the woods they thought was Richard Matt. They saw him, they shot him.
The other thing that we're hearing here on the ground, and I'm at the base of Titus Mountain, is that David Sweat remains on the run.
We heard officials even tell some of the residents that area could be blocked off for hours, not just minutes. So definitely could be a very long night out here with heavy police presence.
People are being asked to stay in their homes, especially on areas around Route 30, around Route 41.
Governor Andrew Cuomo is going to be holding a news conference. I am sure that we will be here with you holding it live.
I want to thank New Yorkers. I want to thank the people of Clinton County and Franklin County who have put up with a lot over these past 20 days.
This is pretty fresh for us. We're out at the scene. We're doing forensic work. I can tell you they verbally challenged him, told him to put up his hands, and at that time, you know, he was shot when he didn't comply. Sweat is still out there. He's considered dangerous. We're going to continue to look for him and search just as hard until we find him.
The haystack 1,000+ law enforcement officers are meticulously inspecting is the dense wilderness on the fringes of Malone, New York. The needle they believe is inside is David Sweat, who was convicted of killing a sheriff's deputy. Carla Gerber says police and Border Patrol agents searched her property over the past few days for evidence of trespassers as the investigators tighten their dragnet.
It does make you uneasy. It definitely does.
I'll feel relieved when I hear what happened to the second one.
The tension is still tight, but they're relieved that they're at least getting close enough where they can get them.
We have reporters on scene as close as they can safely get to all of this activity.
We're cutting in right now because we have now confirmed through multiple sources that escaped fugitive David Sweat has been shot and is in custody at this hour.
We are here with good news. As I'm sure you've heard already, the nightmare is finally over. It took 22 days. Mr. Matt is deceased, and the other escapee, Mr. Sweat, is in custody. He's in stable condition.
There was a celebration outside of Alice Hyde Medical Center in Malone where David Sweat was taken after he was shot and captured by police. People finally took a deep breath. Crowds gathered to thank police for keeping them safe during the 3-week manhunt.
We're just so happy that they're caught and that life can go on as normal now.
I feel a lot of relief. A lot of families should be able to sleep better.
Julie Molnar lives nearby. When news broke that Sweat had been captured, she rushed to the hospital and took this video of police and an ambulance arriving.
Zooming troop cars and police, and so I was like, wow, I was like going, I can't believe this.
Molnar and others say they came to the hospital to witness a part of history happening right in the middle of their small town.
It's nice to have a little bit of the residual of attention, probably. You know, people around here, they don't get that kind of feeling. So, I'm assuming it'll be a buzz for a little while, but at least it'll be a great relief.
And there was no shortage of thank yous to the men and women who worked countless hours to find 2 convicted murderers.
A big shout out to the law enforcement. They did a great job. And, they really worked as hard as they could to get us safe and get these guys off the street. We really appreciate it.
There you go.
With all the sparklers and flags, you'd think July 4th came early. But the impromptu Independence Day in Dannemora Sunday was celebrating a different kind of freedom. Freedom from fear.
It's been scary, People can't let your kids out and play in the yard.
Northern New York had been holding its breath for 3+ weeks. So finally, this was the community's sigh of relief.
It's just good to be out here and supporting them and saying thank you.
Thanks to the state troopers, to the sheriff's deputies, to the correctional center's emergency response team.
You guys are unbelievable.
And all the others who kept the area safe and worked such long hours during the manhunt.
This is the least we could do to support them.
They have put their lives at risk for us, and can't thank them enough. Can't thank them enough.